Hi everyone, I'm Burkina from the Lifelong Learning Platform for EPALE, for this EPALE Newscast. I will be sharing with you the latest news. Welcome to this July's edition of EPALE Newscast. As you probably know by now, it's a live broadcast that brings you the latest news on adult education and learning from the EPALE community and beyond. As usual, this new format is streamed every first Monday of the month at 12. So thank you for following us and for being with us. Well, let's start with some news. It has been quite a busy time since the European Year of Skills has been announced in May, and a lot of events that happened around June and end of May, which I wanted to share some of it with you. Some of you followed the news about the Making Skills Count event organized by European Commission on the 8th and the 9th of June, where EPALE was also present in the Fair of Good Practices. This event gathered over 100 stakeholders in education and training to discuss what is the most pressing issue today of skills development. And indeed, there were a lot of discussions on the importance of skills for labor markets, importance of transversal skills, but also how to change training systems in order to adapt to the skills shortages issues and the skills mismatch issues. And also what was interesting during the event that the skills first approach was announced, a new method or a new approach, let's say, that would focus recruitment in companies based on skills rather than on qualifications. This is quite new, so we'll follow up on that with more news. But for the moment, all you have to know is that this was a new approach that was announced at this Making Skills Count event. What was important during the month of June and May is the launching of the European Commission of Harnessing Talent in Europe. Where this is one initiative that is going to address talent issues and in particular regions in Europe that are having a major demographic challenges, aging populations and not enough talents to fit for the jobs in the regions, but also the possibility to innovate, and their adult education systems are also lacking behind. And this boosting mechanism that the European Commission is putting into place is going to support the development in adult education system as well in those regions. And another important event during the end of May was the Porto Social Forum. As you know, the European Pillar of Social Rights is followed up through the Porto Summit and through the presidency events, and in particular the Porto Summit, where it was adopted, a new declaration was adopted in 2021, and this year was organized a kind of a celebration after 2 years to take stock on the achievements of the Porto summit. And what was very important in this edition, that it was maybe not as much in the past, was the focus on skills. The focus on skills development being one of the major issues and major challenges to achieve the European Pillar of Social Rights, where there has to be a lot more progress to be made. And the Lifelong Learning Platform organized a side event next to the state leaders meeting to bring the issue of investment in education and training to the table, but also the importance of key competences for lifelong learning. So yeah, these were some of the main events that we could assist and hear from in the last 2 months. But maybe let's go now into some news from EPALE. You probably are aware of some of them and probably not of some others, so I would like to share with you a few. Last week, there was indeed an online discussion on basic skills in the European Year of Skills for the adult learning community, calling for substantial investment in basic skills in the framework of the European Year of Skills, which is inevitable, as we want to ensure that these objectives are to meet. for any reform to succeed in the long run, should consider adults with insufficient skills to allow for a wider participation. If you missed these discussions, you can always rewatch it in EPALE community. And remember, you can also comment in the discussion. Another important, let's say, news is the podcasts. So we had a podcast on how much we need digital skills to empower citizens. Two experts discussed the risk of conflating education to its gateway to labor market participation loans. So recognizing that in our fast-paced society, we need to look at skills beyond the needs of labor market, and therefore how digital skills in this context empower individuals to participate in democratic life were quite important, and they were mentioned in this podcast, and how we need to train people about attitudes and mindset before focusing on hard specific job skills. What also important happening in the EPALE community was the Does Digitalization Make Us Publishers? Another latest blog post that was published on the EPALE community that I invite you all to look at, which indeed tackles the issue of the fact that we all are in a way publishers, and we have at our power different social media means, and we can publish about everything, but also we can share misinformation very easily. So these are very important topics to be discussed that are addressed in this blog posts. Another important news that you shouldn't miss is the EPALE Malta Awards. The EPALE Malta Awards will be held on the 20th of October 2023 as a live streamed event. So all EPALE members from any country will be able to follow. The awards are the perfect opportunity to highlight the value and spread the voice of adult learning and education to a variety of audience in Malta and beyond. And very last news from our side that I would like to share with you is the resource kit on skills for democratic life. So this is a new resource kit, traces a path to orient ourselves among the many contents published on the platform on this topic. We will look at how skills for democratic life have been interpreted, practiced, and discussed on EPALE in the past month. So this is a very important, let's say, wrapping up of information and content about skills for democratic life. What are the necessary skills for fostering a democratic life? So let's have an anticipation about this resource kits. With the following interview. So this time we have a little bit of a different setup. We will actually invite two guests to share with us a little bit more about one of the projects that is part of this resource kit, which is the Map for Accessibility project, which is a project that invites the citizens to take action to improve urban accessibility through co-design approach. So we have two guests with us today that I thank you very much for being with us. That's Natalie Dimitrova and Polina Hitova. Welcome. Can you listen? Can you hear us? Yes?
Yes.
Yes, I do. Hello,
Well, thank you
everybody.
very much. Thank you. And we want to hear and to learn more about your projects. Can you maybe tell us a little bit more and what are the objectives of this project?
Yes, sure. So first, thank you, Brianna, for the invites. And also just to introduce ourselves, my name is Natalie, and here is my colleague Polina. Both of us work in the same organization that is a partner in the project, your project. We're a consultancy company, and we work on we support the communication part of the project and also on digital accessibility, because we are touching upon this issue. So about Map for Accessibility. So this is a 3-year project funded under collaborative partnerships, and it has 7 partners from 5 countries. And as you already introduced, Brianna, it aims to create an accessibility mapping app which provides information on the accessibility of public spaces. This will be done through 4 case studies developed in 4 countries. So 4 cities and 4 countries, very diverse cities. The app will be based on an already partially developed, already running app, but app that wants to be improved. Access for Todos, it's a Portuguese one. So one of the case studies is in Lisbon, Portugal. The other cities are Berlin in Germany, Volgograd in Bulgaria, and also Catania in Sicily, Italy. So obviously very, very diverse settings for all of them. The idea is to engage higher education students and also the other members of the community to create this app, to improve this app, to check the accessibility of spaces, both digital and physical, and through reflective learning also to incorporate this into their academic curriculum. So the students are encouraged to work in their local settings to identify a community concern and to integrate this into their learning. This is very much the gist of the project. If you want to, we can go in another direction.
Yeah, maybe it would be interesting to know if there was any findings, any surprised result that you got out of this project, especially as you also had higher education students involved in the project, right?
Yes, it's higher education students and also other community members. We're starting to integrate them. So for findings, I can start here, Polly, if you want to compliment me. Just to know that we are not from the case study partners, even though we are closely working with one of them, the Bulgarian one. So we are seeing things from a side. It's interesting that students are very much interested in the topic and getting more and more interested. This is also one of the main objectives of the project, not only to create an app, which is just one out of many apps, but to create awareness, which has not existed before. On how to create a more inclusive environment for all. So students are actually, even just by doing an exploratory walk, this is one of the community practices we're employing, they expand their horizon in 1 hour and they start seeing things from different angles. This is quite interesting. It happens in all of our case studies, and these are students from different disciplines. So, which is also interesting. We have some from architecture, we have some business students, we have others from more medical backgrounds. So it's happening for all of them, and we are really happy to see that. Paul, if you have something
I have something to complement here. As Natalie said, we are 7 partners, and all the 7 partners have different background, which is great because it is quite complementary. And for these exploratory walks and for this service warning implemented into the formal education, we have specialists in architecture and in kinesiotherapy. So now having explored service warning by ourselves, the partners are inspired to incorporate service warning in their higher education environment. And for example, I can give you just one example. Kinesiotherapists, especially students in kinesiotherapy, find it very useful having undergone these exploratory walks and urban walks for their practice afterwards, because this is how they realize how different trauma can come from different obstacles throughout the routes that they have explored. And the same is valid for people that are following their studies in architecture or civil engineering and so on. So it's great that we can mix all the different expertise and specialization into one, so we can see it from different angles. And should the audience here is very much interested to see what exploratory walk is or urban walk, you can always refer to our project website, and we have already developed and uploaded guide on how you can perform your own exploratory walk within your environment.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And you mentioned the service learning approach. Can you explain a little bit more what it is and why it is important?
Sure, sure. Well, service warning is an innovative method that is currently going on in several higher education institutions, and it actually applies engaging students into different different community service, where they get practical experience and real life experience, and where they can see the actual needs of the target groups. And this learning approach, this practical learning approach, is actually formalized into their educational programs. So it becomes mandatory, and it supports the theoretical learning of the students. So this is basically what,
Very
in very
interesting.
short, service warning is. And our service warning approach is for students to participate in the so-called exploratory walks, where they identify different obstacles throughout a predetermined route, which can be physical, can be digital, or other kind of obstacles throughout a road for a person with different for people with different abilities to be able to follow it. For example, for people with physical disability, or for a person with visual disability, and so on and so forth.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Paulina and Natalie. This was quite insightful and quite interesting. I'm sure that the EPALE community will go directly to your page to learn more about the project. But thank you for being with us. As we have a very strict timing here, we need to commit to come to the end of this very quick newscast, and invite everyone to meet after summer, because indeed we are going to have a break and meet in September. On the 4th of September, we will be back with a new cast. Until then, I would like everyone to take the opportunity to contribute to the community story, tell their insights, their ideas about the future of adult learning and education, to visit EPALE and submit your stories. It's very important that you share your activities and your organization work, and learn from others as well. So thank you very much to everyone, and see you in September.